Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I'm Chris. This is my Zepbound journey and this is week 34 weigh-in. I weigh in every Wednesday. I've got all 33 previous videos on my channel if you are new and are interested in different parts of the journey, but this was a good week. This week I weighed in this morning and I am down 105 pounds total. That is from my starting weight in January, and 96 pounds since I started Zepbound. If you've been watching my channel at all, I originally only talked about my Zepbound weight, but there are 9 pounds that I lost in January and February before going on Zepbound at the end of February. So it's 105 pounds total, but 96 since Zepbound. So in a couple of weeks, I'll celebrate losing 100 pounds again just from the Zepbound numbers. But it has been a good week. Today I want to talk about, every Wednesday I try to pick something to focus on. And today I wanted to focus on portion control because it's been interesting the last week, because I am changing up my diet now that I am closer to my goal weight. I am changing it up. I was very successful in losing weight the first 8 months, and by eating primarily protein, animal proteins, cheese, and vegetables, like non-starchy vegetables. That was an easy way for me. That was what my body preferred. And I wasn't like that before. Before I ate a ton of carbs. So I'm not saying I don't like carbs, which is why this week is very interesting in trying to incorporate carbs back into my diet. So I'm not a medical doctor. This is my personal journey. And I started this channel. It's actually been wonderful for me to be able to look back when I feel discouraged, to kind of see, wow, it's been difficult, and it's been interesting how Zepbound has helped me so much. I honestly feel there are a lot of things that I've done additionally to Zepbound, like working out all the time and eating pretty healthy. I quit drinking alcohol for the most part, and except for like vacation. And it's been interesting to see how Zepbound, I think, just really lowered my inflammation. I know it lowered. I felt better after 2 weeks. My inflammation felt great, and I had only lost like 10 pounds or 15 pounds. I lost 10 pounds the first week because I was very sick and I had a cold, and I lived on chicken broth. And the next week I lost 5, and then after that it was like 4 pounds, and then like 3 pounds a week up until now. And I know a lot of people say that's unhealthy, that you should lose 1 to 2 pounds a week, and that's great. You do you. I'm telling you how I did it, and I am of the belief that because I had over 100 pounds to lose, ideally, if I were to be healthy in a doctor's chart, I would lose 20 more pounds. And honestly, right now, I am wearing size 12 to 14 pants. I'm almost 5'10". I don't know if I want to lose any more weight at this point. My new goal that I have set for myself is to get through the holidays without going back over 200. I would like to stay, I'm at 193.6 today, which doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room for Christmas cookies that I do plan on eating a couple days of the holidays, a couple days during the holidays, not during the whole holidays, the whole month-long lead up to Christmas and Thanksgiving, but I'm going to pick a couple of days where I'm going to indulge in Christmas cookies and fudge, and I'm going to make cookies. So the nice part about Zepbound is that initially this made me not hungry. And I was very fortunate to be on 2.5 for the first 8 weeks that I was on this. And then I was 24 weeks at 5. I didn't titrate up from that for 6 months. And then I just titrated up. I did my third shot of 7.5 yesterday. It used to be Wednesday morning. I moved it to Tuesday, but so I am on my 3rd week of 7.5. And I have to tell you, the food noise suppression was phenomenal the first 6 months. It is dropping. I am having more food noise, and I could eat more when I'm eating. And so I think the help that Zepbound gives most people, not all people, but if you're taking it and it's working for you and you have suppression in food noise, I think that is the opportunity to learn. I learned that I didn't need as much food as I thought I did. That's where all this portion control comes in. Because first of all, when you first start out on a GLP-1, generally, if you eat too much food, you get sick. And I was terrified of eating too much food because my daughter, Katie, is a kind of, what do they say, FAFO. She wanted to like test the limits of what she could eat and what she didn't. And she'd let me know everything that had a negative effect, or oh, I shouldn't have eaten a Crunchwrap Supreme last night, which, you know, I love Crunchwrap Supremes. So I was terrified going in and very, very careful with what I was eating throughout most of my journey, because I did not want to, I don't like feeling like I'm going to throw up. And as you all know, or people who have been with my channel for a while, when I went to Disney World, we had free happy hour at the hotel, and I drank 4 big glasses of wine and had a bunch of food, and I felt terrible the next day. So I've had the benefit, that actually is a benefit, that was like telling my brain, don't do this. You can't do this anymore. This is what you used to do, you know, fairly regularly. You know, eating a portion, even though I was eating healthy foods in big quantities, you can also gain weight. You can gain weight eating cheese. I have friends who are like vegetarians, and they're like, I gained weight when I started because I was eating so much cheese and so much. So Zepbound for me gave me an opportunity to really look at what I was eating, how much I was eating, and how much food I really needed. Now, I've had a lot of questions. Very frequently, people will ask me, what are you eating? Or what are you tracking your calories in? I have tracked the whole time, 200 and whatever, how many days it is now, 44 or whatever. Every day I put in to lose it, what I eat. I put my collagen in the morning, my creatine, it used to be eggs. Now it's overnight steel cut oats with non-fat Greek yogurt and berries. I don't add any sweetener right now. And so, and I would put that in Lose It, and I'm really good. Like, I never measured my meat. I never measured. What was nice when I started this is I would eat as much protein as I wanted, trying to pay attention to how full I was. Again, I was afraid of getting sick from eating too much. And I was slowly learning to make those portions smaller in my brain. It was, you know, subliminally being reinforced and reinforced and reinforced by how I was eating. And the Zepbound for me made it so I wasn't starving, which was a huge game changer. Because if you've ever had food noise, and even when you're not hungry, food would look good. Like, even if I wasn't hungry, even if I'd eaten a whole meal, if somebody brought out like a spice cake in front of me with a bunch of cream cheese frosting on it, I'd make room for it. It's like, I'm going to make room for that. That looks delicious. And so it has kind of like subliminally, almost like, if this reinforcement in my brain is crazy, but I am more aware of what a normal portion looks like, or a portion that my body needs, rather than what my brain wants. And so it would come up with the calories for me when I would put it in Lose It. And again, you've all seen this. I have tracked every breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I have a 2-part system, my journal and my phone. And that's because, number one, I'm not very good at doing things regularly on a regular basis. And so if I have my phone and this, if I don't have my phone with me, I can jot it in here. Sometimes I would jot a couple days in here and then log it in my phone if I didn't feel like logging it, because you have to look some things up. But using both of these really helped me. And I just think that the Zepbound, with making me not focus on food all the time, gave me a chance to over and over and over again, 3 times a day, see what a normal portion looks like, a portion that doesn't make you sick because you're eating too much. So I didn't like weigh and measure everything. I would measure out things that were like danger foods for me. So like a half a cup of yogurt, a half a cup of cottage cheese. I was actually surprised at how much a half a cup of cottage cheese is, because a cup of cottage cheese is a very large amount. And what I actively would try to do is, I didn't stop eating. I did eat primarily proteins and non-starchy vegetables, but I would throw in there blueberries and cottage cheese sometimes to mix it up with the eggs. Eggs 7 days a week gets a little boring. So while doing that, I would find that I would cut down on portions like the cottage cheese. If before I would have had a cup of cottage cheese or 3/4 of a cup, a half a cup of cottage cheese measured out with a cup of blueberries instead of a half a cup of blueberries and a cup of cottage cheese, because a cup of blueberries is like 39 calories and a cup of cottage cheese is not 39 calories. It's not terrible, but it's just a switch in my mind and I would throw a few walnuts in there and things like that. I wouldn't go over 6 walnut halves. I'd grab, a handful of walnuts. It'd be 6 walnut halves and I'd chop it up, throw it in there, because I'd try to add protein where I could. And then I always sprinkle cinnamon in that so that it actually adds to not having a blood sugar surge. It helps keep your blood sugar stable. So those are the things that Zepbound enabled me to do, to get in my brain, you only need this much. And for me at first, when I was first not very hungry at all, after I got over my terrible cold, and it was a few weeks, and I started to feel the normal Zepbound feelings that most people that it works for them, feel. It was like, I'm not really hungry and I'm not eating a lot, and I think I might die of starvation because this is a lot. This is less food than I used to eat. Like, how can people live on this much food? That was my initial, the thoughts in my brain. Now I'm like, wow, that is the amount of food that somebody without food noise eats, and they're satisfied. Story from my high school years. When I was a junior in high school, I remember I had a very tiny friend named Kathy. Very, very tiny, like naturally tiny. Although her mom was large and her dad was not large, she was like petite little waif. And I remember we would go to Taco Bell and I would have a burrito supreme and a pintos and cheese and a Diet Pepsi. Burrito supreme, pintos and cheese, or a burrito supreme and a Mexican pizza. And that's a lot of food. Burrito supreme is actually one of the lower calorie things. The Mexican pizza is not. I would have them add sour cream. I was very active then, and I was not, I was not a bad and unhealthy weight. But she would get a burrito and she would eat half of it and she was full. And I was like, and I mean a bean burrito, not a super, the burrito supreme that I like. And I thought, how can anyone do that? Or she would take one bite of a candy bar and throw it away. Where I was like, if I open a candy bar, nothing's getting thrown away. I'm going to eat it. I don't think I've had a candy bar since I've started Zepbound, to be honest with you. I have not gotten back to that. But anyways, listen, we're 15 minutes into this. I do want to talk about this week and how learning portion control has been, so I ate whatever I wanted with the proteins, and I was a little worried, but I didn't eat to like throw up point during all of this, where I was like tracking, putting in like a cheeseburger, like a normal cheeseburger, whatever. I'd pick one that, 8-ounce cheeseburger, 4-ounce cheeseburger. I'd ask my husband roughly what it was, but I wouldn't weigh it myself. And I would pick like a slice of cheese, because that's what we would use on it, and lettuce. So I was tracking, but not killing myself tracking, if that makes sense. I just contradicted myself and told you all the things I tracked and all the things I didn't. But when you eat pretty whole foods, like 2 eggs and an egg white is pretty easy to track. I would have 2 eggs and an egg white, and a coffee with my collagen in it. I would still eat a bean burrito at Taco Bell with a Diet Pepsi. That was about the extent of my eating out on a regular basis, other than my shrimp salad at a restaurant and my tacos at Tijuana Tacos. But I hadn't gone anywhere that had like pasta, which I really like. And that's kind of a danger food for me. It used to be a comfort food for me when my husband was out of town, and I would cook nutritious for my kids, and I would boil a bowl of noodles or a big bowl of white rice with butter and salt on it, and eat like, I don't know, probably 2 to 3 cups of white rice for dinner with a half a stick of butter on it and salt and pepper. And that was just set off the serotonin like crazy in my brain, made me feel happy, and that was dinner. Sometimes also pasta. I could eat a big bowl of pasta with butter and salt and pepper and be perfectly happy when my husband was traveling, and it was real easy to make. But calorie wise, it was terrible. And there were no fruits and vegetables in there. So part of the problem I'm having in my brain is, okay, right now I am at 193.6. My goal for getting through the holidays is I don't want to go over 200 pounds. I would prefer to stay in Wonderland. I am wearing size 12 to 14 pants, which is small like when I first met my husband. I don't want to go much smaller than that. I'm losing, my derriere is kind of flat, and it used to not be. It's not really flat. I mean, I have big hips, and I always will. I am a pear shape. I always will be. I told my husband I'll be dead for a year and I'll still have a booty. It is, I don't feel the need to get smaller. I don't want I just don't. I don't want to lose too much weight. And here's the conundrum, is that my stupid, this ring tracks my sleep. My scale, my Hume scale, evil. I'm losing weight. It shows I have a lot of muscle, but I also have a lot of fat. And it's saying that I am like 5 years older on my cardiology, on my heart score than my age, than my real age, and that I am unhealthy. I'm at an unhealthy weight. Now, my other scale, my Eros scale that I have hidden in my craft room, I used to come weigh myself in here, not near my husband. It was my own. I had it hidden under my thing where I could track I just was embarrassed by being almost 300 pounds and he's 215, being whatever the math is on that, 85, 95, yes, 85 pounds heavier than my husband. I was embarrassed, and he never said a word about my weight. My husband is a gem. He has always said, I love you, you're beautiful. So this was not like a lose weight for anybody else kind of thing. So what was I talking about? I was talking about my weight, and I'm upset by the Hume scale. It is showing that I'm gaining muscle, but it's just a little nastier than like my Eros. And I'll plunk the number next to me here. I have pictures that I took of the feedback on it. So my Eros scale that I use tells me how much I've lost, and since the beginning, and that is my I don't know if that's my Zepbound weight. One of them is my Zepbound weight and one of them is my starting weight. So I'll post both of them. So one of them shows me losing 105 pounds and the other one shows me losing 96 pounds. And so this scale says that finally, like, my visceral fat is a 9. My age is still 60, I think it's 60 or 61. It's nicer than the Hume scale. This scale is nicer to me. It also shows me in the green. I'll show you here. I'm going to put a divided screen. It shows me in the green on like body fat or body composition, like 23.8% this and that. So my point with telling you all this is, don't get super focused on one thing or another, and give yourself some grace, because I could pay attention to my Hume and be like, oh my gosh, I'm in terrible shape. I have, too much fat in my arms and fat in one of my legs and not the other one. Or I could, pay attention to this scale that's pretty much nice, but it still shows my metabolic age is too high. But it still shows that I need to lose to get down to 175. I don't know that I want to get down to 175. I'm feeling pretty darn good right now. And my doctor has said, you're just one of those people that is, you're heavy. 193 pounds is, not light for a woman, I don't think, by any standards, unless you're like 7 feet tall. And, but I'm not unhappy with it. So I don't know. Tell me if you think that's weird. You might think that's weird. I hate to have anybody so focused. I hate it when I myself am focused on one thing to the exclusion of all others. And so I'm feeling pretty good right now. I get my echocardiogram next week so we can figure out, the other stuff that's going on. But when I got my doctor's numbers last week, that's when, or 2 weeks ago, it's when I started talking to you about I need to make some changes, because I've got some enlargement thing in my heart and he's worried about stroke or heart attack. And my numbers, he says, either possibly from losing weight really quickly, it'll mess your numbers up. That's correct. A lot of you, my friends on here have said that, and you're absolutely right. Additionally, I went through menopause last year. After menopause, or estrogen tanks, and that reduces, you get a reduction of the heart healthy benefits of estrogen that you have before you go through menopause. So sorry, male viewers, you don't have to worry about any of this unless you're married, and then you get the benefits of estrogen not being high in the form of your poor wife being tired and having low energy and wanting to sleep all the time, which I did want to mention to you all. I love my doctor. I think he says some wacky things, but he said I would not be able to go on HRT right now until we get my echo, and then I go see this woman and she figures out what's going on with my numbers, that she absolutely would not prescribe HRT for me. But there's a product, Feminescence, and I'm not pitching it. I'm not even going to put a link to it. I'm just going to tell you that I'm on it and I'm kind of tracking it. I started it a week ago, and it is something that kind of mimics HRT. It's maca, I think is what, MACA. And I'm not big, again, on real weird things. I used to sell to health food stores. I understand all the weird, crazy stuff that people take and what's going around, and I'm afraid of most of it. And I thought, I don't really want to take this, but he said, take it, see how you feel. It mimics estrogen. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to throw this in on all the top of all my menu changes, my diet changes that I'm making these couple of weeks. And I'll throw it all in right now and see if I can continue to lose weight. So I did lose almost 3 pounds last week, and I lost almost 3 the week before. So I'm not unhappy with the changes I've made the last couple of weeks. It's either what I'm taking or the fact that I'm eating more carbs now, that I have a lot more energy during the day. It's weird. I'm feeling much more like my old self. And I don't know if that is the maca that I'm taking or if that is me eating. I was going to go over the stuff that I ate this last week because I get so many questions on it. Maybe it was the fact that I am eating that honey grow and eating rice noodles. Now I take it and I cut it in half and I eat half of it. I was shocked. I'm always shocked to learn that rice noodles have a lot less calories than like egg noodles, like a lot. And I told my husband when we were eating there, I said, it's kind of like that Seinfeld episode where they sent the frozen yogurt. They said, they're lying. There can't be 100 calories in this because it's so delicious. And the whole episode was about them sending it out to a lab to get tested because there's no way that something that tastes this good could be this low calories. And I feel that way about my red curry coconut bowl that I eat at Honey Grow. It's super filling. I get extra jalapenos and extra chili flakes in it. It's got tofu in it, which if you don't have a problem with like breast cancer and you're not trying to avoid those foods because of the estrogen effects that they have, I'm real happy about getting tofu in it. That possibly will help my cholesterol. I don't know. I just kind of half look at to make sure things aren't sky high in cholesterol the last couple of weeks until I go get my test next week. I'm kind of keeping an eye on it, but I feel for definitely this last week, I feel like I'm cheating. I'm happy that I lost 2.6 pounds. I hope it continues because I feel better the way that I'm eating right now. And it's very different from how I lost all my weight, which was grass-fed cheeseburger with organic ketchup on it. Again, I didn't totally eliminate sugar, but I didn't emphasize it. But I very rarely ate a burger without ketchup and a bunch of lettuce on it. Now my diet looks like this. So last Wednesday I had overnight oats and a cup of raspberries with my creatine and collagen in my coffee. Lunch was, okay, this is a little weird, 6 cashews and 12 peanuts. I did count that because nuts are a real dense food and also a danger food where I could sit and mindlessly munch them. Dinner, I made autumn stew and I had sourdough bread with butter. I don't know why I did the butter because then I switched to like olive oil. I must have gone to the doctor the Thursday or gotten the results. So anyways, I had sourdough with a little bit of butter, maybe a teaspoon. Then I had 3 of my Aplos drinks, which is my Aplos adaptogen drink with a diet ginger beer in it. That's kind of my fake cocktail. I did a 4-mile jog. Oh, and I got a shot in my back for my thoracic disc that is still hurting me. So after that, I don't think I worked out. I didn't work out the next day. Next day, I had collagen. I need to put my glasses on. I can't see. Collagen and what does that even say? Were they protein pancakes? No. Okay. Lunch was Southwest salad from Chick-fil-A. I was there with my grandkids. They were all together. Both my daughters, my daughter with 1 son and the daughter with 2 sons and a daughter. So all the cousins were together and we had a nice lunch there. And I had a diet lemonade, which I love. Dinner was a black bean burger. My husband and I go out. No, that was a Thursday night. Black bean burger and a salad with citrus vinaigrette. We were out somewhere. I think we were out with my mom and my sister. It was delicious. It was huge. I didn't portion control. I don't think I ate the whole thing, but it was a restaurant meal. And in the past, I wouldn't have eaten a black bean burger. I would have eaten a hamburger with no bun and a salad, same thing. I had no Aplos that night. Next day was cottage cheese pancakes. This is one of my favorite things. I blend a cup of cottage cheese with 4 eggs and a cup of whole wheat flour and a little cinnamon and I think a teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of vanilla. Blend it all together and then pour it into pancakes. Make pancakes. I use 1 to 2 tablespoons of organic syrup and I add a shredded apple on top. That is a lot of calories. It's delicious. I also put walnuts, chop up some walnuts in it, and put some walnuts on top. Lunch was a bean burrito, Taco Bell, obviously, and a water. Because at this point now, I'm trying to cut back on my fake sugars. And so I've been substituting more water and less of the fake sugars. Dinner was leftover pork stew, rosemary bread from Costco dipped in olive oil, 3 aplos. I did 14,000 steps and my weights, a 4-mile jog. That is part of the 14-mile steps. And a jog is a stretch. It's like a fast walking. Next day, I don't know if you're still interested, 1 cottage cheese pancake, coffee, my collagen, and my creatine, half of a honey grow bowl. I bring the other half home and usually eat it later in the week. That night was a bad night. My daughter, it was a Saturday, my daughter and son-in-law and grandkids came over, and I had chips and guacamole like I used to eat them, which was I had, well, even not quite, but probably 15 chips with a wad of guacamole, which is probably 10 tablespoons of guacamole. Then I had a half of a homemade chicken quesadilla and 3 aplos. I didn't work out because my shot in my back was hurting me, 7,200 steps, and I sat in the sauna for 45 minutes. I did not weigh myself the next day because I ate so many chips and salsa. But the following day, my weight went, it was 195. This is on last Wednesday, 195 down to 194, down to 192 on Friday. Saturday is the day I ate all my chips and guacamole, which were by the way, I would do it all over again. Didn't weigh myself the next day, and the following day I was back up to 194, and then I'm down to 193. And so I don't regret eating the chips and salsa, but it's a hard transition to go from eating like very few carbs and very little fiber to incorporating these things, but I am enjoying it. But that is where portion control. Now I talk about portion control, but I showed no portion control that night, and I'll own it. You know, I did show portion control in that I only had a half of a homemade quesadilla because I was so full and I just kind of picked at it. Whereas in the past, I would have eaten a quesadilla and probably dessert. The rest of the week, uneventful. I had the cottage cheese pancakes are great because you can make them at the beginning of the week, and then I put them on a plate in the fridge and I just stick them in the toaster. Toast one up and then grate an apple on it and put a tablespoon. I do measure my syrup. I could put a lot of syrup on there. I used to put Mrs. Butterworth's. I used to love Mrs. Butterworth's when I was a kid, and I would drench my pancakes. So that is a danger food for me. So I did 1 tablespoon of syrup on it, and a 1/4 cup of walnuts. Lunch was an orange, 2 tablespoons of hummus, and I had a carb balance wrap. I had a half of a pickle and a slice of turkey. Now, how that meal started out was I bought 2 different hummuses from Whole Foods. I was like, I'm going to reintroduce hummus. Hummus is healthy for you. It's high in fiber. It's nutritious. I used to love hummus on sandwiches. So this hummus that I got was a little runny, to be honest. I was like, it tasted okay. I added a bunch of chipotle pepper powder to it to spice it up. I measured out 2 tablespoons of hummus because that's also a dense food. So I would say if there's a food that is super high in calories that you could easily eat double or triple what you think you're eating, then measure it. And once you get used to what the amount is, you'll use less. So put the 2 tablespoons of hummus on, and then my husband took out the turkey. And he's like, do you want a slice of turkey? And I thought, this is kind of a sad little wrap. It wasn't very tasty, even though I put the chipotle pepper in it. And I'm like, I do want turkey. So I checked the calories for one of the Colombo organic turkey slices that's not supposed to be like deli meat. It's like from whole turkey breast. I put I ran the UPC code. It was 30 calories. And it made such a flavor difference in my food. And it added protein. So I was really happy about that. And then I had an orange, which again, I'm enjoying being back to eating fruit. I think it's part of what's helping me a little bit with my energy level. Dinner, I had made homemade chicken poblano soup. I think I felt like I was coming down with a little bit of a cold. There's a lot of colds going around right now. So I did my homemade chicken poblano soup where I can eat a ton of broth. Now, broth I don't measure because I could sit and eat like 3 or 4 cups of broth and the calories are really low and it's super filling. I did 6,500 steps. Oh, it does say I was sniffly and it was a rest day. So I do like looking back at this and seeing what works and what doesn't. And so if you are able to keep a journal and write down what you're doing, it's helpful. I'll go through 2 more days and then I'm going to wrap it up for the week. Monday, I reintroduced, I was missing eggs so much. I had such a long time without eggs that I reintroduced. I had 2 eggs and an egg white, chicken poblano soup for lunch. Salmon, I went out to dinner with my husband. It was Monday night. Shannon goes to a program at the Y. So I had salmon on a salad with pesto and balsamic on the side. I always have them put the dressing on the side at a restaurant because they go crazy with dressing. And I had 1 glass of Prosecco, which was actually delightful. I try not to drink. It kind of makes me sad. It can, if I drink too much, I get really depressed. But 1 glass was actually really nice. As I'm trying to learn portion control, I'd like to integrate maybe a glass of wine a week when I'm out having a nice time. And it was nice. I did 15,000 steps that day and my weights. I was still feeling a little sniffly. I was at 194 that day. Tuesday was 2 cottage cheese pancakes, an apple, tablespoon of maple syrup. Lunch was 1 chicken quesadilla with guacamole at Tijuana Tacos, one of my favorite lunch places. And then dinner, my husband made spaghetti and he used whole wheat noodles, which I was nervous about, but I made a big salad to go along with it. I try to eat the salad first and then I stop eating when I'm feeling full. I don't like to be overly stuffed. I weighed in at 193 the next day and I didn't work out because I had to take my mom to the doctor. So that's a wrap up of like, that is what I eat in a week. That's pretty consistent the last couple of weeks since I'm changing to add carbs in. I feel like that's how I'm going to continue. I think for me, the fact that my portion control was solidified by Zepbound, by me being afraid to eat too much and get sick. Zepbound was a great base for me to get my body used to eating smaller amounts and not feeling deprived. So I'll end with this. I am worried about going off of Zepbound. 1, for my hunger to return. 2, I don't know how much of the food noise suppression is, like I said, it's less than it used to be. I could eat more any given meal, and I am really choosing not to. I'm trying to eat mindfully. I'm trying to pay attention to the food in my mouth and not like zone out with the TV when I'm eating. I like to sit and taste my food and really pay attention so that I don't feel like I ate a meal and I don't even remember what I did. So I'm trying to appreciate my food, and I'm afraid of going off of Zepbound and having all of these things fall apart and go away. Like all of a sudden I won't be able to mindfully eat or eat in smaller portions. And so my plan is to stay on 7.5 through the holidays. I don't really want to go up because I'm not gaining. I'm still losing a little bit and I don't want to pay more. It's more expensive. But I'm at a weird place right now in my journey here going forward. I've got the double whammy of trying to eat less and all the good holidays are coming up and I'm going to be cooking a lot and having a lot of celebrations. So it'll be interesting to see. But my offer to you is, while you're doing this, look at it as a learning experience of, yes, you can eat less food and not actually die. Because I honestly thought that a couple of days when I started out, I'm like, I can't survive on, it's a little amount, not a huge amount of food. It was way less than I was used to eating. But I wasn't hungry. So it was very strange. Like I could eat a very small cheeseburger, and that was it. I didn't have like 5 side dishes. So it's just an interesting. I'm sure all of you have you're going through this journey, but it's different for everyone. There's, something different about like the foods that you like to eat and what's successful, what is working for you. But I know that for me, it's been teaching me how to properly eat without it being very painful. So I really don't want to go off of it and have it be painful again. And so if it continues if I go off or I titrate down, my inflammation comes back, I could see being a forever GLP-1 person. I don't know. So that's my feedback for this week. I tried to give you a little insight to my menus, and I did get, for my next video, I got in 3 monk fruits because I was switching from the Truvia. Got the monk fruit extract. I have not opened this. I have not opened this. I have opened this, and I've been really happy with it. I am going to do a video on it because the artificial sweetener category is really fascinating to me right now. And it's something that's important to me that helps keep me helps me eating foods that keep me full, or drinking foods that keep me full. Like I put this in coffee, and I use my ginger beer at night with my cocktail drink. And so I wanted to find a fake sweetener, especially leading up to Christmas. I might do some desserts with some monk fruit in them, and I'm real interested in how they taste, and you might be too. So if you've made it this far, thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for listening to my week recap. I will be back next Wednesday with another weigh-in, and we'll see how this carb and fruit introduction hopefully keeps working in my face. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye-bye.